Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Seezus Show. This is start of season 4. Season 4, episode 147. Sorry for the wait, but in the off season, we talked about a couple things here and there, but a lot of traction hasn't been made as well too. So just to rehash, season 3 was a blast. Very last episode, it was Terrence Whaley, Carl Conyers to the left, and myself. And we kind of switched it up a little bit, was on a little Zoom-esque type of situation. And we briefly just, talked about the wrapping up of the NBA Finals and our early impressions of what we were going to expect with the Olympics. So I'm happy that Team USA brought that gold back. Steph went crazy, which was crazy. But Terrence couldn't be with us today, and he'll definitely be back for the next episode. So we'll see you soon, Terrence. But without further ado, before we get started, make some noise for my co-host, Carl Conyers. How you living, man?
I'm good, man. How about you?
I'm good, man. Literally trying to take things day by day. That's all you can really do. So I try to attack each day with purpose. Some days are better than the others, but, we just got to keep it pushing.
Yep.
Got to keep it pushing, man. So I'm excited. It's been some time. So we got some good content for you guys. And shout out to Payne in the background, producing, helping us behind the scenes. So I appreciate you as well too. But let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, last time we were here, we were virtual and we were talking about, the Olympics, and we're talking about the NBA Finals and all that other good stuff as well too. And we talked about free agency as well. We thought that free agency, the trades, everything was pretty much wrapped up until, before the deadline of the All-Star break coming into this season. But we had a crazy trade that went down not too long ago. I'm talking about the Minnesota Timberwolves and the New York Knicks. So basically, Karl Anthony Towns got traded for Dante DiVincenzo and Carl's boy Julius Randle.
Never that.
As well. So definitely one of the more shocking trades that we've seen in quite some time as well too. What were your thoughts on that, Carl?
Yeah, it was crazy. I definitely didn't anticipate that in any way, shape, or form. I did anticipate Julius Randle getting moved because it felt like with all the pieces that they brought in, were for the team that they had in last year's playoffs and that didn't feature Julius Randle. So it just seemed like he was kind of the odd man out. I just didn't think they were going to be able to swing him for Karl Anthony Towns, which I think is so crazy because, honestly, these are probably two of the people that I talk down on the most. Is Karl Anthony Towns and Randle. But I feel like Karl Anthony Towns is still a huge upgrade over Randle because at least Karl Anthony Towns in the playoffs is still like probably at least 17 points a game, and like he's gonna do decent from three, and he can do some other stuff. Whereas Julius Randle is literally dog shit in the playoffs. Like, excuse me, that's the only way to describe it. Like, so I think that it's for the Knicks, it kind of puts them in a place where it's like, okay, this is really this year, next year, we're trying to have like be our year because we were close last year with half our team injured. For the Wolves, I get they're talking about from a standpoint of like the salary. So I think this is more about building future for Anthony Edwards and also kind of clearing the way for him to be. I think he was already the undisputed like alpha on the team, but now it's just like for sure this is your squad. Like we're not worried about because at least it was Karl Anthony Towns' team for a couple of years before Ant got there. So, I think for them, this is more of a, like, just big picture moving forward. And I like them getting DiVincenzo back in the trade. I think having somebody who can actually score as a guard is going to be really good for them, again, come playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that this raises the Timberwolves ceiling. I think it absolutely raises the Knicks ceiling, though. But I think it's more of a long-term move for the Wolves. So, I mean, overall, it's a weird trade.
Yeah,
I think so, but I like it.
Yeah, no, like you said, I definitely think the Knicks are the winners of this trade as well too. Off the simple fact, like I mean, I know with Julius Randle, once they acquired OG and Anunoby, they had, I think they lost like what, 2, 3 games max as well too. But like you said, Julius Randle wasn't necessarily the best playoff performer, and Cat necessarily doesn't really match his regular season output as well too. But at least with Cat, he's still someone that you can respect from shooting outside as well too.
Yeah.
And also with Mitchell Robinson still injured, I don't think he's coming back till like late January. They definitely needed a big losing Isaiah Hartenstein as well too. So you have a legit guy who's relatively, for his career, relatively pretty durable in Cat. And I feel like with Cat, he's naturally a 5. And I know they try to bring that back, that late 90s, early 2000s with 2 big men, in part to kind of basically combat Joker. But I feel like moving Cat to the 5 now, he can have a way more balanced inside out game as well too. So I'm looking forward to that, because I feel like Rudy Gobert really took away from him playing inside the paint, because you just have him in the dunker spot. Rudy Gobert can't stretch the floor. So in the perfect world, I think this is going to work out for them as well too. So now you have your wing defenders. Jalen Brunson's not obviously the best perimeter defender, but you can kind of hide him now. And you have OG Anunoby, and you have Mikal Bridges with Josh Hart, which their defense is going to be crazy as well too. So I really like that for them as well too. I don't think anyone's going to step on anyone's toes, because I feel like OG and Bridges are high level role players. So I think Cat's going to naturally be that number 2 option as well too. He has some familiarity with the coach Tibbs. I'm not sure what they were, if they bumped heads or not, but from the Club Shay Shay interview, it seemed like with Cat, he had nothing but respect for Tibbs. And they've gotten older as well too. So I'm curious to see what that's like. I think this automatically catapults the Knicks to definitely a top 3 seed. And I think they can get to as far as the conference finals. Obviously, I have to see how things kind of pan out with seeding as well too, because you could have a situation where they're the 2 seed and play the 3 seed, which would be like Philly or the Celtics in the second round. They don't get there, but I think their future is looking bright right now. Like you said too, in part with Minnesota salary cap, and also the new CBA kind of restricts you on who you can and can't pay. So they definitely were looking for long term as well. And this allows Julius Randle, because I feel like with another flaw that I saw with the Minnesota Timberwolves was they didn't have that other ball handler / shot creator. So I think Julius Randle, I think Anthony Edwards are definitely going to share that role as well too. I'm just really concerned with like who's going to be their starting 5 and how's that floor spacing going to work as well too, because with you letting Cat rock, that means you're probably going to give a bigger role to Naz Reid. So in a perfect world, I would like Naz Reid and I guess Rudy to be the 4 and 5, and it's just like, where do you kind of put Randle at? So, I'm thinking Naz Reid probably still going to be the 6th man.
Yeah, Naz is definitely staying off the bench.
So do you think Mike Conley comes off the bench? Or
No,
DiVincenzo is the 6th man?
Randle's a 4. He doesn't really play.
So you got Randle at the 4, Gobert at the 5, Anthony Edwards at the 2, McDaniels at the 3, and then Mike Conley at the 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you bring up Naz Reid and DiVincenzo off your bench.
That's actually tough. And I think Rob Dillingham's going to get a lot of minutes this year. We'll see. Because I don't think Mike Conley's going to play. I don't think Mike Conley's going to play 82 games. There's going to be some games where there's blowouts on both ends. So from what I've seen so far from Rob Dillingham, like he looks like a certified bucket with what they need as well too. But I think this demotes Minnesota's ceiling, because with what they built last year, getting to the conference finals and being so close to getting to the finals, I think this puts OKC in a clear front seat to be the representatives of the Western Conference. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see OKC, Minnesota. Not OKC, Minnesota. OKC, Dallas running it back as well too. But they both won in respectable ways, but I think the winner was the New York Knicks for sure.
You think it's a clear cut OKC being number 1?
Number 1?
In the West?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think the Mavs made it to the finals last year, and they added Klay Thompson. They added
Klay Thompson, which I like as well, but I want to see what, because I feel like getting Klay Thompson, and obviously it's an upgrade from Derrick Jones Jr., but Derrick Jones Jr. was clearly the better perimeter defender. I don't think Clay is a defender that he once was. Now you have closing Klay Thompson, you have Kyrie Irving, you have Luka Doncic as well too. So your only real defender is probably your rim protector and Derek Lively, and then PJ Washington obviously is a pretty good wing defender. He proved that last year when he got acquired as well too. But you got three motherfuckers you can kind of pick on. So I'm curious to see what Jason Kidd is going to do defensively to try to get timely stops when it matters the most. Because I know you paid Klay Thompson a boatload of money, and in his eyes, at least now, his role is to be that shooter, that third option. So I'm just curious to see what that closing line is going to look like. But I'm thinking now, is it kind of mirrored like the Brooklyn Nets when they had Kyrie, when they had Harden and KD, where it's just like, fuck it, we're just going to be efficient on offense and try to just outscore you, kind of like Indiana Pacers.
I think, though, Clay might not be the defender that he was. I think he's still serviceable, and I think he'll at least be that with a lesser offensive role, not having to be like the number 2 guy like he was in Golden State.
Yeah.
And I think also Dallas was a good defensive team last year, and that's with Luka on the court. That was with Kyrie on the court. I think I've seen Luka be a lot more of a effort guy now because he has a big body, like he can body people up, and especially I'll say a lot of this was in the playoffs. I just think that they're not cones. It's not like Steph out there, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And Steph, I don't blame him. He's just little. That's all.
Steph's got better over the years as a defender, though.
Yeah, but in that same way, I think Luka has. But Luka has the frame to. I think you're always at a disadvantage when you're smaller. Regardless, you can only play so much defense.
He got the frame.
I just remember I was watching him put his body into people in the playoffs.
I like the frame. Like, let's say if someone's taking him in the post or he's guarding a person that's not as agile, I like it. But with these hybrid wings,
I don't know if they're going to be putting him on wings for real.
I mean, it's a pick and roll game now. You know what I'm saying? He's just going to get switched on and he's just going to have to guard whoever. So it's going to be interesting. And then I'm also thinking about Kyrie Irving and I'm thinking about Luka's health as well, too. So do you think
Luka's
they can
health?
Yeah, he gets nicked up during the regular season. I know Kyrie missed 20, 30 games last year.
Kyrie I would worry about. I'm not really worried about Luka.
But those are other factors I'm thinking like why they wouldn't be the number 1 seed. So, but my pick is OKC. Huh?
Kyrie's played in the playoffs the past couple of years though.
Yeah.
So I hear you. I just don't think that. I don't think OKC can be a clear-cut favorite right now.
You don't think so?
Nah.
Because they got better, too.
I know
same reason you said they got better.
Hartenstein and Caruso were great additions. Absolutely.
And Chet's going to be in year 2.
Yeah. But I think some of these other people, Lively is going to be now in year 2, and he was doing everything he was doing as a rookie. Chet technically was already in year 2.
Yeah.
We're being real. So that's all I'm saying. I just think that they're a lot more even. I don't think there's a clear cut. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that as well too. So you got them definitely finishing. Where do you got Minnesota finishing though? To wrap this up.
Minnesota, I would see as a top 4 seed.
Top 4. I said that too. And then Knicks top 3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I ain't mad at that. All right. Cool. So moving on from that, we're a little late, but the GOAT, Chicago's own, Derrick Rose retired. He was a 3-time All-Star, Rookie of the Year, youngest MVP of all time, All-NBA player. And we know, like we said, the impact that he had for Chicago as well, too, man. What are your thoughts on, D. Rose leaving the game?
I think it's crazy. I think it's really crazy. Honestly, not the fact that he retired, because you could tell that it was about to happen, but just in perspective and in general, thinking about his career, there's never been anything like it, for someone clearly from being the youngest person to ever win the MVP to then blowing your knee out 2 years later, which also is crazy because you just look at how medicine has changed. Like, dudes can tear their ACL now and they might not come back the same, but it's not as devastating as what it was to him.
I feel like he was the final part where the medicine wasn't caught up
yet. Yeah. And, especially the way it happened in a game that he shouldn't have been playing in is just nuts. But for him to, persevere, and there were times where it looked like he was going to be out of the league already. and then to come back and then drop 50 with the T-Wolves and then still have like a decent, on the Pistons and the Knicks, stick around, I think is commendable. Yeah, I think, we talk about like Hall of Fame for Derrick Rose. It's so weird because first off, it's like every other MVP is in the Hall of Fame. But no other MVP really had his career curtailed like this. But if you think about like a Bill Walton, he is a similar case. The only difference being his peak was honestly a little bit higher because he was Finals MVP and like won, championships. But I just think that it's not completely without precedent. I think in the 4 or 5 years that he was like really that guy, he was not only his basketball on his impact on the court, but also off the court. I feel like makes his case even stronger. He's just like a cultural icon, and also I feel like changed the game in a way, or like more so paved the way for a lot of like the speedy point guards and stuff
guards,
like that that we see now. So I don't know if that's my thing. He deserves to be in. I don't know if it's necessarily first ballot, but I think he will, and I think he should make it in.
That shit just sucks, man. ACL, meniscus, everything, which sucks. And like you said earlier, like with modern technology and surgery and all that, like you can come back from an ACL or an Achilles like nothing as well too. So just unfortunate times for him as well too. Is there like before I even ask that, where was it gonna go? Oh yeah. So let's say, it's just the what if game, but I'd like to hear your opinion, knowing who the apex predators were during his era. Because he's 34 right now, and then he got hurt because he got drafted. He was 19, so 21, 22, he got about 22, 23 peak. You think if he never got hurt, he would have at least had one finals appearance?
Yeah, I think they were knocking on the door. It was they were just running up against Bron. Mm-hmm. That's the main thing. Like everybody in the East at that point in time, they were running up against Bron. But I think that he was. We'll never know, but I think it's crazy to say that he would have been at his peak at 23. I think that he was gonna get better, whether that was just shooting or whatever. I think that he was gonna find ways to expand his game. Which he eventually did become a better shooter, which he for sure was not earlier in his career. Mm-hmm. So I think that combined with which is so crazy because now Chicago is a dumpster fire and all the moves they make I think are terrible. But at that point in time, they actually did a pretty good job putting pieces around him. So I think they would have been able to build a team to. They were the only team I think that could have stopped Bron's run of like 9 or 10 straight finals. Mm-hmm. Those Pacers teams, the Toronto teams, they were all scared of them. The Bulls seemed like the one team that wasn't scared of them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think it would have happened.
Yeah, man. No, that was my dog, son. That was my dog. Numbers will say we'll see, but like you said, what he did on and off the court, I think, like you said, it won't necessarily be a first ballot Hall of Fame, but I think they're gonna put him in there for sure as well too. Is there a game that stands out to you, like one of your favorite games by him? Anything that come to mind?
No,
mine is probably when he came back from his injury, and this was the same year that LeBron re-signed with the Cavs for his second stint.
The game winner,
and it was the second round, the game winner one. Yeah, because that was just like, we know you've been through so much shit. Like, you deserve this moment right now as well, too. And if Bron, the next game, doesn't make that corner three, I think they beat the Hawks in or was the Hawks that year?
Yeah.
Hawks in the conference finals for sure. And who knows what happens against the Warriors, who didn't win yet.
And that's my thing. Like, they were close when he wasn't even himself anymore. Yeah. So I definitely think they could have made it. That game winner was fire. Mm-hmm. I'll say actually when he dropped 50 in the same way. Like it just felt very much like when bro started crying afterwards. It was like, this is real. Mm-hmm. Like he went from I'm literally the top player in the league to now I'm just a role player, journeyman, trying to like hang on for my NBA career and to come out and do something that he didn't even do when he was in his prime.
Yeah.
I think that was beautiful.
No, that was fire. That was fire. So hopefully he gets into some nice, post career content. So he can do whatever he wants. So, man, I was the OG. Another guy that retired that I just have to bring up just for 1 minute. Just got to shed some light. Danny Green, my Spur, announced retirement. 3-time NBA champ with 3 different teams, was an all-defensive player in his career, and also career 40% from 3 as well, too. Only thing I want to say is one of the OGs of being your quote-unquote 3-and-D player. But hell of a run with the Spurs. I remember those 2 finals when he was going crazy from 3, because at that point, I think Ray Allen was like the all-time 3-point leader in the finals, and then he kind of surpassed that. And obviously Steph is Steph. But good career as a role player, and he kind of, like I said, kind of paved the way for 3-and-Ds, because right now, and more than ever with floor spacing, like that is what's needed. A wing that's about 6'5" to 6'7" who can spread the floor and get at your top or second offensive threat. Any remarks?
Yeah, I mean Danny Green for sure. I feel like was the premier and one of the first 3, at least 3-and-D of like this era type players. I think he was also first team all carried. Yeah. You're getting paired up with the legends of San Antonio. Then you get Bron. Then you get Kawhi. And especially, Danny Green. Danny Green was great. He did some good stuff in the league.
Yeah.
And sad to see him go.
As put it. That's cool. That's cool. Obviously, preseason started as well, too. I don't know if you've been able to catch any highlights or anything like that. Yeah. Is there anything that kind of stands out to you for NBA preseason?
I always just love seeing like a lot of the rookies or like young players play. I think Zach Edey looks really good for Memphis. I think we'll see when it comes to actual. You always got to take the preseason with a grain of salt, but I think he fits in. I don't know if his toughness, mental toughness or whatever, is going to be the same as Steven Adams, but like everything else, it feels like he kind of fills that role for them, and he's even bigger. So like we've just seen some like pick and rolls between him and Ja. That's honestly that team in general. I think the Grizzlies are going to be I think they've had the potential to be a top 4 seed in the West too.
So?
Because to me, they are basically the same team that just won 50 games like 2 years ago. The only thing that happened last year is they didn't have their best player, and all their other guys, like Jaren, I think, was the only one who played most of the games. Like Desmond Bane missed half the year. Like all their guys were out, and they traded away Marcus Smart. So
he's gone now.
No, I'm sorry.
You're talking about
they got Marcus Smart. They traded. They got rid of Dylan Brooks. I thought there was someone else they got rid of too. But even Marcus Smart was out for like most of last year as well.
Yeah.
So I just think that there's no reason to believe that they're going to be a bad team again. Because when Ja only played 9 games, in those 9 games, they were a good team. They were a playoff team. So that's just being said. I think, they look really nice. It's some of these other teams. Yeah, I'll say this. I'm excited to see Lonzo. Lonzo's going to play apparently next week. So that should be fire. But it hasn't been anything. It was cool seeing Paul George do some stuff. Chris Paul with the Spurs.
Yeah.
But it just makes me, honestly, preseason just makes me ready for the regular season.
For the regular season, yeah. No, I agree with you as well, too. Been following the Spurs, obviously, as well, too, more than ever. So I'm excited to see, Chris Paul, Wemby little action as well, too. They got their little alley for the first time as well. So I think Wemby, it's been so long. I wish I had the archives to like pull up right now. But you and I talked about like what we thought going into his rookie year, how much he'd average. I'm curious to see like what his output's going to look like this year as well, too. Because he played under 30 minutes last year and still had like 20 and 10. I think they will this year.
I don't know, man. I could see him being kind of like honestly, like Westbrook or Giannis, some of these guys that it took. Oh, honestly, Westbrook never really. Well, maybe not never, but once he was really him, he was never actually playing like even like 35 minutes a game really. Um, I think just certain guys, like they're putting a lot into the minutes they're out there.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see Pop. I don't see it. I would love to see it though. I don't see Pop playing him like 36 minutes a game.
No, I think like 34. 33, 34. I think that's fair.
33 would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
That would be nice. If that's the case, I can see. I mean, he's for sure at least 25.
Mm-hmm.
At least 25.
Yeah.
And they didn't really add any other pieces outside of Chris Paul. So
and we got
they got some people in the
Harrison
draft,
Barnes.
but yeah,
the draft pieces.
But just to say, like, I think there'll be a lot of offense for him. So
Yeah.
I think that 25 should be the minimum, especially honestly with the way that scoring is in the league now.
Yeah. My cousins are arguing with me and saying that the Spurs should be a playing team this year. You think so?
You don't?
It's hard for me to put it together.
I was gonna ask you actually.
I would want to say they can, but like you said, it comes down to Chris Paul's health. If Pop allows Wemby to ramp up even more, and see what the veteran presence has to offer. I like what we have, but and then I also like Stephon Castle, which I've been enjoying watching as well too. I think we were pretty solid with that pick as well, and learning under Chris Paul. I can see why they were saying his upside is going to be like a bigger Drew Holiday. I can definitely see that, but I don't know yet if we're flirting with like the very last spot. So keep going from like 10 to 12. I'm not sure. I got to see them play a little bit more.
I think that they can make the play in. Mainly, I think all of it, of course, like you're saying, it all revolves around Wemby to me. Chris Paul health be damned, honestly. I think that if Wemby is able to be out there enough to like fully impact the game, whether that's minutes wise or like whether that's games played wise, I think that his splits were insane. Like when he was on the court, they were a good team.
Yeah.
So,
and now they have a closer because a lot of the games they also lost, they were close games they just didn't know how to close. So you got one of the best closers historically speaking, and another veteran present, Harrison Barnes. Vassell coming back.
Because he missed a lot of time with injury, didn't he, last year?
Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know. If Terrence here try to make me make a bet, I always lose. But I'm not sure. You talked about Lonzo Ball. I'm happy to see LaMelo Ball. The head of Puma. We got to see you play because people forget. I feel like what we saw with Tyrese Halliburton, that's where he was trying to get to, but injuries kind of like Steph Curry kind of derailed him a little bit.
He's nicer than when he was playing.
When he's playing,
at the time, yeah.
I'm saying just the praise that he like Tyrese has been getting lately.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we should be talking about with LaMelo, but he can't stay on the floor.
And he's on the Hornets.
But when he was on the Hornets, when he was healthy, they were always a play-in team at least. So I expect them to be somewhat better, and I'm curious to see with Bridges being back in the fold yet again, and then I'm curious to see what Brandon Miller's second year is going to be like as well too. So hopefully he's healthy because he's a killer.
Brandon Miller?
No.
Oh, LaMelo.
LaMelo Ball.
Brandon Miller, I think, is a killer, but which is actually no pun intended.
Murder Miller.
But LaMelo, you know what? I honestly have a vendetta against bro because I've drafted him. I want to say back-to-back years in fantasy basketball, and bro just decides like, yeah, I'm gonna show y'all like for 5 games that I'm cold, and then I'm about to miss the rest of the season.
Yeah.
But no, I mean he's like you're saying, if he plays, he has all the tools. He's supposed to be good. I just do think that, and we'll see, but it does feel like the culture of Charlotte has gotten to his game. I think that he can be kind of just loose and sloppy, and I don't know if he takes it as seriously, which I think it's hard for a lot of them to take it seriously because they never win. Exactly, it's a losing culture. They don't bring around the right players, and they just let them do whatever too. So it'll be interesting. I think that again he has all the tools, but I hope he stays healthy.
Yeah, I do too. One of my up-and-coming favorite guards that I enjoy watching And I saw his 2 preseason games. Tyrese Maxey, man, that boy tough.
For
Y'all,
sure.
y'all, you can keep Halliburton. I love Halliburton too.
I don't want Tyrese. What do you mean, Mr. Fake Tough?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, bro. I'm over that.
I forgot.
You got benched the whole Olympics.
But Tyrese Maxey, man, I think he's going to be one of those other players that's every year he's probably going to flirt around with the 50, 40, 90 type of game. But that boy got paid, and he's ready to take that next leap as well too. So I actually see Paul George being more of a third option this year as opposed to a number 2 option.
Yeah, he already said that.
He's going to be a third option?
Yeah.
Okay, if he's cool with that, then that's fine. I mean, at this point, you're 34. Might as well. But just to see, like you said earlier, Paul George looks so smooth, and it seemed like he fits so seamlessly into Nick Nurse in that offense. Just makes you think about your old boy, like Tobias Harris. What an upgrade that was as well, too. So if Joel Embiid can stay healthy, PG had some unfortunate type of injuries. I mean, obviously he played last year in the playoffs, and they fizzled out to the Mavericks. That's another scary team because I like the depth that they have as well, too.
The Mavs?
No, 76ers.
76ers. Mm-hmm. No, for sure. I don't know.
This may be their best team they've had since Jimmy Butler and JJ and all that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I don't know necessarily if this will be a breakout season for Maxey because I feel like that
last year was a breakout season.
Yeah, it's hard for if
was he an All-Star last year?
He was not. I don't think.
Okay, so I think I have him being
no, he was.
Okay,
he was.
Well, I have him being an All-Star again, and I guess the next step, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it's just such a all NBA is just best players now, right?
Yeah,
it's positionless. I wouldn't be surprised if he's an All NBA type of player.
I mean, he had an All NBA. I guess I would say that to say like he had an All NBA caliber year last year. It's just always about the competitiveness with the guards.
Yeah.
Because he averaged 26 and 6, so it's like crazy. Hard for me to. I don't, especially with Embiid. It's like you're not gonna have 2 players averaging 30. I don't see that happening. And then now you're adding in Paul George is probably still gonna take more shots than Tobias Harris. But I think that the leap will probably just come. I think his shooting percentages probably will go up a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe his assists will go up a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I think he's just already really, really good. So it's gonna be interesting. Everything around the Sixers revolves around Embiid.
Joel Embiid, yeah.
Of the day. He missed most of last year. When he came back in the playoffs yet again, he didn't look the same, and that really did hurt them because they were, a top 3 or 4 seed before
every
he got
year,
injured.
yeah.
And then they end up having to fight to barely get in the playoffs, and now you're playing against some of the best teams in the first round. So
and Joel Embiid said he's willing to, because he already got his MVP, and now it's just about, can I get past the second round? Can I make deep playoff runs? Can I play more meaningful basketball? And he said in his media day availability, like he's really going to instead of forcing it all the time, now that he has help, he's not gonna be OD. So I hope with that being said, he's gonna be healthy. But a lot of times when he get injured, they just be some weird ass, freak ass injuries. I mean, granted, he has a track record of being injury prone, but a lot of times when he gets hurt, now from what I've seen, it just looks like it's just some weird shit.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the 76ers a lot as well too. Like I said, that's another team that's going to be top 3 depending on Embiid's health, but they got depth.
Who's your top 3?
Boston, 76ers, Knicks.
Where do you have Milwaukee?
4.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could rock with that.
I mean, Coach Doc going to get you 50 wins for the year.
I think people are
sleeping on him.
I
don't think they're sleeping on him. I just think the other 3 teams are better. Not much better, but
I don't know if they're better.
You don't think so?
I think. Well, here's what I'll say. I think that we all have, in general, people have recency bias. That's just how shit works, right?
Yeah.
But so Giannis didn't play at all in the postseason last year. And I feel like a lot of people are just like, well, the Bucks flamed out in round 1.
Mm-hmm.
But of course they were going to. Most of these other teams aren't winning without not only their best player, but their, top 4 player in the league.
Yeah.
Like the Nuggets, if they didn't have Jokic, they wouldn't have made it out of the first round.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I just think that I think they're really good. Now you're in year 2 of Dame playing with Giannis, and you still have Bobby Portis, and I think they just have some nice pieces.
Yeah, I just feel like, I don't know, like Giannis is on his bronze shit where like he's going to win you.
He averaged 30 on like 60% shooting last year.
Exactly. He's going to get those buckets, and more importantly, he's going to get you a top tier seed. Dame's gotten older, but his game's never really been on athleticism, so I'm curious to see how that's going to work out. It seemed like when they're on the floor together. I mean, you might be right because before they even got Doc Rivers, they were top
great.
2, top 3
They
seed.
fucked themselves over in the middle of the season with
Yeah.
that.
So I'm
just again, they have continuity this year.
Yeah, they got continuity. I'm curious to see like, because Chris Middleton looked before he got hurt, he looked pretty well in those games he played in the playoffs, but he is older. So how much is he going to give for you in the regular season? And Brook Lopez has gotten older too. They got younger with, I guess, Taurean Prince, and then they also got Gary Trent. But
with those outside of the Knicks, if you look at those top 4 teams, you're worried about injury with all of them.
Well, all of them, yeah.
Embiid, Paul
even
George.
the Celtics with Porzingis.
I actually didn't think about the Celtics. Yeah, but yeah, exactly with Porzingis. I just can't see the Celtics repeating. I really can't.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was going to get into next as well too. Do you see the Celtics repeating?
Was the last repeat champion we had the Warriors?
Repeat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just really tough. You know, this is like a crazy level of parity we've had since the Warriors, where it's just like, you know, it's a different team every year. And I think that goes to just speak to how competitive the league is right now, especially within like a lot of these top teams. Mm-hmm. And so, granted, I think that the Celtics still probably make the finals last year, but they for sure had a really easy run, which is not a fault of their own, but all the players got injured, or, you know, they were the best team
play in front of you.
play.
Yeah.
So I don't see that happening again. And I don't know, man. Jason Tatum did not play really good at all.
It's crazy
in that series.
It's crazy that a lot, because I always go back and forth as well too.
I can't say at all, but overall he didn't play.
Yeah,
that
so
great.
I would say this for Jason Tatum's playoff/finals performance. I feel like he didn't shoot the ball well. Outside of that, he still led his team in points, rebounds, assists. Obviously, in the finals, JB was a primary defender on Luka, but whenever he got that cross matchup, he held his own, and he was literally looking like a point forward, like a LeBron James, and he was doing everything else as well too. So I don't see him shooting as bad next time around. And we didn't even get to see Porzingis at his peak as well too. So that just and then with the whole Team USA narrative, him not playing, that adds fuel to the fire. He seems like one of those guys who's internally motivated, but there's other outside factors that motivates him. And I think JB's on another level. So right now, I think you have to put them as a favorite getting back to the finals. But like you said, I think it's definitely going to be tougher. But for right now, I got them being the first team since the Steph Curry Warriors era to repeat.
I feel like I can agree with them being a favorite.
Uh-huh.
I just don't know if I can see them winning again.
So by you saying that, you think a Western team is going to win it this year?
Yeah, I think either a Western team is going to win it, or I think that they'll be upset.
Ooh.
And like the
I think
finals.
OKC has a better chance at beating them than Dallas. Actually, it's the same. It's the same. It's the same shit. If they match up again,
I think that. Oh shit! That's about to come at you, my guy.
Keep going though.
I think that Dallas really addressed a big issue
shooting
with Clay. I think shooting, niggas was not hitting threes at all. But I think also just the scoring, not even necessarily not the threes, but just scoring in general, like having that third person, because he had to be like PJ Washington, and when the pressure was really on him, it was like you can't really count on him for that. So I think that makes Dallas a lot more dangerous, especially when and hopefully, this is year 2 or 3 for a lot of these younger guys on OKC, so hopefully they can step up more. But although they in theory had the guys, they didn't really, like, Chet wasn't really offensively doing a whole lot in the series against the Mavericks.
And they went 6 games. If Shea don't foul, they got game 7 at home.
Damn.
Yeah, just put it down. They got Game 7 at OKC.
Yeah.
So anything can happen. But yeah, keep going.
Yeah. I mean, I think I guess all just to say I think that now Dallas matches up better with the Celtics than they did last year.
I agree.
I do agree though, if the players for OKC take the leaps that they're supposed to, they would be a better matchup overall for the Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still just kind of worried about OKC being exactly like when OKC made it to the finals against the Heat. Just young and inexperienced and like letting that shit show.
Mm-hmm.
That would be like my only.
So you're saying if OKC were to get over that hump to at least get to the finals, their youth and inexperience is going to show against the Celtics. Celtics beat them.
Yeah, it just reminds me of going up against like a juggernaut. Kind of like when they went up against the Heat.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's because it's almost like the Celtics kind of play like the OG Warriors, where they defend at a high level and just get up a lot of threes, and then you have two guys who you can say, in theory, get out of my way, and I can get buckets. Well, three, because with Porzingis, people still haven't figured out that Porzingis, because he takes away their rim protector too. And then
all their players are somebody. Yeah, if that makes sense. Like their whole starting five.
Damn, bro.
So, I mean, it is crazy. They like I said, I agree that they should be the favorite. I agree that they should be the favorite.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, it's hard for me to see them repeating.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Okay. Let's say they don't get to the finals. Out of those four power teams, well, first and foremost, Joe Mazzulla went on record saying that even though he acknowledged the injuries and whatnot as well too, he thinks out of even Dallas, the toughest for them was the Pacers. So maybe we should put them in there. But out of those power teams that we mentioned in the East, who do you think has the best chance at matching up and beating them?
I think that's another big reason why I like the Bucks. Because I think that Giannis gives them the size that a lot of other teams aren't going to have. I think, of course, like Embiid gives you size, but it's still not the same. Embiid's mobility isn't the same as Giannis. Like he's still a good rim protector, but it's not the same.
Yeah, you can put instead of Lopez, you can have Giannis and Portis as their front court.
Exactly, and you still do have Lopez. That's what people forget. Like Brook has been a really good shot blocker. And
basically what Al Horford's doing for the Celtics, that's what he's doing for the Bucks.
So size was huge in a lot of people's matchups with the Celtics, and I think that they are, size-wise, probably the best team in that to match up. I think it'll be different, like if the Knicks, depending on what Mitchell Robinson is looking like, he can be, he's a big guy. He can be a decent defender. But I just think that in terms of having a guy who's, like, really unstoppable, like when it comes to Jalen Brunson, you still have Drew Holiday. Again, Jalen's going to get his, but you have someone who you feel confident you can put on him. I don't know that there's anyone they can say we feel confident putting on Giannis from the Celtics.
Nobody. You just got to pray he turn him into a jump shooter. Exactly. I just don't like the Bucks overall defensively. And who's their coach? Tell me who's their coach.
Doc won before.
But that was two different eras of basketball ago. Since then, what has he done?
Look, I mean, what has he done? He did it once. What did Joe Mazzulla do before he did it last year?
I mean, he just became the coach. You know what I'm saying? In this era. But that's another wild card. Them defensively, one, and then two, Coach Doc. But every year, I mean, all we can do is utilize the past to predict the future. But there's just been so many past instances where things just didn't go his way with injuries and then the lack of adjustment. So maybe he's learned. Maybe his staff has gotten better. And this is the best player he's ever had, right?
Dame?
No, Giannis.
Oh.
Doc, coaching? You had CP, you had Blake, you had Kawhi, but that was for 1 year. And then you had Joel Embiid.
I think that, especially when you look at when he got the big three, pretty much all of them were out of their prime. 30s, they were all out of their prime. So, this is probably...
And he got Dame, too, both of them. Mm-hmm. Damn sure the best duo he's had. So we'll see. This could be the year, but those are just things I just look back at and I'm like, I don't know. So my answer would probably be, I know you're talking about Jalen Brunson, probably the Knicks, just because they can bother Tatum and Brown just a little bit better.
But who do they have? Like, I don't feel good. I just don't feel super good putting Cat on Porzingis. But at least he has the size, I guess.
At least he has the size.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you got Porzingis. I mean, you got Mitchell Robinson and you got Cat for Porzingis.
I just don't know if they're gonna have Mitchell Robinson.
And then you can put Josh Hart on Drew Holiday, and then you'll probably put Jaylen Brown on Derek White. Well, you might have to put him on Drew Holiday instead because Derek White be running around like he steps sometimes, so that might tire out because he's the number one scorer. And then you got OG and Bridges to somewhat bother JB and JT. I like that. Yeah. I'm a little nervous scoring wise though, because Bridges in my eyes is a third option, sometimes fourth. OG, he always gets hurt, so I don't even really know what type of option he is. And then, like you said, with Cat, he'd be hot and cold in the playoffs. So that I'm worried about their offense a little bit.
I would be if I hadn't seen Jalen Brunson carry them on his back by himself.
Yeah.
With a torn, fucked up knee and hand or whatever. And their defense was so good, they were holding opponents to like a certain amount where it's like, okay, we don't need 130 points to win.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think that they're offensively are probably going to be fine.
Okay.
Especially because Bridges was a 20-point per game scorer in Brooklyn, so I think he can at least get you 15, right now.
Yeah.
And he's someone that you can at least know you can go to get you a bucket outside of Brunson.
Okay. Okay. All right. Almost coming to an end here, but a couple more topics I want to get into since we're talking about with this upcoming season. If you had to pick 3 different matchups, right? What matchup do you want to see if we're just strictly sticking on Western Conference that you're looking forward to? One for the Eastern Conference and then out of conference.
Is this playoffs or just in general?
Just in general for the regular season.
I think, you know what? I really hate that the Nuggets don't do anything and haven't done anything in the past.
They got worse. They got worse.
I really hate that.
They got worse.
Yeah. But I really do want to see. This isn't even necessarily like. This is just Steph is still just box office.
Okay.
I like the Lakers versus the Warriors, which is so crazy because neither of them are teams that you're probably going to be seeing deep into the postseason.
Yeah.
But they still have, like, to me, the two probably. Ant is climbing his way up, but, like, I think the history behind them matters. So probably the two most exciting players still.
Okay.
So that would be for me for the West.
Yeah.
In the East, I would like to see a matchup with the Celtics and the Knicks.
Okay.
And then overall, I would like to see. Honestly, this is also still it's overall, but it's still the East. I want to see the Bucks versus the Celtics.
Ooh. Okay.
It's a lot of teams for me. I want to see how they're going to look against the Celtics.
Okay, I'm not mad at that. Your West one was cool. When you said Steph, I don't know why. For some reason, I thought you were gonna say Warriors Kings because they always have crazy ass games. For the West. Man, that's a tough one because there's been so much like shaking up of the West. I guess I would like to see OKC match up with Dallas in my head. I think, like we said, they're the two top dogs, at least on paper right now, based on what they've added and last year's playoff runs as well too. So I'd like to see that. East, not the Celtics. I already know what to expect from the Celtics. I want to see the two newly acquired teams, in a sense, who are free agents. So I like to see 76ers Knicks. That's already a rivalry in itself. So I want to see that smoke the first time they play. And then if we're just going out of conference or just another game, probably I want to see that rematch, Dallas and Celtics. I want to see what that looks like as well too. I forgot what the schedule looks like for Christmas, but that should have been a Christmas game if it wasn't. But those are probably the games I want to watch. Moving gears, let's go back and forth with our early predictions on awards. Who you got winning MVP? Because you know they bored of Joker.
Yeah, no, he's not going to win it
Yes,
again,
he's
regardless.
done. He's done. Yeah. Unless he had magically happened to get a 1 seed with him, which he's not. But who you got for MVP?
Yeah, he's not gonna win MVP again. But I'm looking at Shea and Luka.
I'm not mad at that.
I think those two are like Tatum's unless
Tatum
comes out and
each
averages
other
35.
Like they won. They had the number 1 seed last year. He averaged 27. Like
exactly.
And JB's on the team now, and because of how dominant their starting five is, I think he's just not gonna get it anytime soon.
I don't see Tatum getting it, and I don't think that Giannis is gonna get another one right now.
They're bored of him too.
Yeah. So to me,
what about JB? What about JB?
I was gonna say, if I was gonna put someone from the East, it would have to be Brunson.
With that squad?
But yeah, it's looking like all guards to me. Like in my order, I would have it be Shea,
1,
Luka,
2,
Brunson.
Okay, that's mine. I agree with that. What about defensive player of the year? Wemby now?
It has to be.
It has to.
It'll be a travesty.
Yeah, like a freshman rookie Hayes, and like, no, you can't get this.
Yeah, and his team was so bad, but it's like he was the only reason that they were even close to good. So Wemby is just. I mean, it always speaks for himself, bro. I've never in all the analysts I see, they're also like, I've never seen it where you can have a 3 or a 4-on-1 and he has dudes dribbling the ball out.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah. He covers a lot.
And that doesn't show up in the stat sheet either.
Yeah.
So it's like he gets 3.5 blocks, but he also does more than that. So
Rudy Gobert should never, ever win another Defensive Player of the Year again.
Yeah, bro, that'll be a travesty.
Off of his resume, he going to the Hall of Fame. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Okay, so we got our MVP, your top 3. We got our unanimous Defensive Player of the Year. What about your 6 man?
That one's kind of tough because I feel like there's always a new... We're not in an era where there's like a Lou Will or, some of those people. So it's hard for me to predict this one. I mean, Nas Reed, I guess.
I got your boy who you said was going to win last year, but he got hurt, Malik Monk. Yeah.
I could see that. It depends on it depends on their seed because usually it's not going to go to a bad team. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I don't know where Sacramento is going. I mean, DeRozan is cool, but
I say top.
I think mixing DeRozan with Sabonis is a bad pairing.
We've only seen a small sample size of them in the preseason.
And Fox is not He's
a capable shooter.
He's had good shooting
better.
seasons, but he also has had bad shooting seasons.
Yeah.
So to me, he's not a consistent shooter. Mm-hmm. So you're combining that with 2 literal non-shooters.
Yeah.
On your starting 5. I hope the other 2 people can shoot because that's going to be. We'll just see. I just don't think the Kings are. If the Kings are good enough, I would give him a shot. I don't know if I feel like they're going to be good enough.
I think they're going to be a playoff team. I just don't know where they're going to be at. And it's just crazy because we changed all this for more money, more viewership, and all that other good stuff as well too. Because like they had a above 500 record last year. It just so happens we have the playing rules, so they on paper could have made it.
But above 500 doesn't mean you're good. They were like a barely above 500.
Yeah. But I think they're going to be better than they were last year. I know right now the idea of it seems funky, but I think DeMar DeRozan makes them a little bit more better. I think Fox is going to come back better. You got Malik Monk, who is a spark plug, and I think Keegan Murray's going to take another leap as well too. And I like that guard they got. I can't remember his name. Keon Ellis. Yeah, I like him too. So we'll see. So your 6 man was who?
I guess I go with Malik Monk too.
Malik Monk.
Yeah.
Okay. Coach of the year?
Coach of the year. Did they give it to Joe Mazzulla last year?
Nah, I think they gave it to OKC.
They did. Dagnall. Yeah. So I could see Mazzulla getting it.
Mazzulla, even with this squad he got?
I think so. I think sometimes, unless there's, I do think, is it Taylor Jenkins still the coach of the Grizzlies?
That white dude?
Yeah.
I think so.
I think that they'll have a case just because I'm almost guaranteeing they're gonna have a bounce back season, and so that's always like a big boost to your coach of the year thing. Maybe Doc if he manages to get the Bucks to have the number 1 seed because everyone's always doubting him, but I think that Celtics probably gonna have the best. just because you have a great roster, I think that he's still a pretty good coach.
And it's how you beat the teams. It's how you play down the stretches. What do you do out of those out of timeout breaks? What do you do have some adjustments? So I'm not mad at that as well too. Deserved it last year for sure. And then last one, clutch player of the year. I'm gonna go with Brunson. Fuck it. We'll go with Brunson.
You know what? Because I'm predicting a good year for the Bucks, I'm gonna go with Dame.
I'm not mad at that. Okay. All right. We gonna see. We gonna see. Is this it for the LeBron, Curry, Durant era with winning chips? And who do you think is most likely to retire first?
If they all decide they're gonna stay on their own teams as is right now, then yeah, for sure. There's no way the Lakers, the Suns, the Warriors, I don't know what the hell they're doing. That is why I do want to see them play, because I'm like, y'all felt like this was a contending team, so I want to see how this is going to be a contending team. But
a team mid, man.
Yeah, but I don't see them unless they team up or like they leave and go, to be like a Paul George and go, to a better situation. It's not looking good.
I don't think any of them are going to win a championship, like you said, unless they decide to be that second, third option on a winning team. But as far as like at least making a deep playoff run, knowing that it's really about matchups, I could see if any team out of those three, probably the Suns have the best chance at making somewhat of a deep playoff run. Got a new coach, added a couple pieces. Bradley Beal, I think, missed majority of the season. Book missed a good amount of games. So they're definitely going to have a higher seed and don't have to worry about running into a team in the first round like a Minnesota Timberwolves and whatnot. So
I just don't like your whole plan in the postseason being Devin Booker and KD can score more than you.
They got a point guard. Obviously, he's not a starting point guard, but
who do they get?
Tyus Jones.
Tyus Jones. Oh yeah, no, still it's gonna be the same thing.
Yeah.
I just think their roster construction is just not it.
Not it.
It really isn't. I think they were better with DeAndre Ayton. I think they were better with what DeAndre Ayton should have been. I think, he was not giving them what he was giving before when they had, Chris Paul.
Mm-hmm.
But Nurkic to me is like, okay, fit. He's kind of injury prone as well.
Yeah,
he's old. I don't know. I don't see the Suns to me that don't have like, they would have to go on a run where they're both averaging like 30 a game to just make it to the finals.
Yeah.
Let alone actually like win. So
yeah. Okay. Who do you think is most likely to retire first? I think Steph about to be 36. KD's about to be 36 or just turned 36, and Bron about to be 40.
I think LeBron
gonna be first.
I think LeBron's gonna be first. He's 4 or 5 years older than both of them.
That don't mean that.
I mean, I think it does though. Because
oh no, that nigga look healthy in the moment.
I mean, he looks healthy, but to me, so does KD and Steph. Like they haven't really shown any signs of slowing down.
That's true.
And Bron is already, I feel like, flirting with the idea.
Already completed the mission of getting my son in the league.
Bron's done. I think honestly, KD. I think KD could either be the first or the last. I think just KD being KD, he might just be like, all right, whatever, I'm done. But also, I think there's a part of it where he is the one for sure with the most that he still was trying to prove out of those two.
Yeah.
So that is the reason why I could see him potentially staying on a little bit longer.
Do you think, one, they're going to leave all on their own terms? Or a better question, do you see a reality where they're not the guy or a starter anymore and still in the league? Like what Melo was towards his end of his career, what Russell Westbrook's turned into.
I think the only one who could do that would be Steph.
You think he'd be willing to come off the bench?
That's the thing. That's why I say could.
Yeah.
I don't know if Steph would ever want to do that.
Yeah.
Because, again, he's in a different league than a Melo, some of these other players. So, like, Jordan wasn't about to be like, I'm about to come off the bench this last year or whatever. So, I don't really see any of them, I think, stretching it out to a point where they would have to come off the bench. If someone did, I think Steph is the only one who's really suited for that because he's a shooter, and I just think that's never going to go away. don't know what Bron would be doing off the bench, and I don't know what KD would be doing off the bench either.
Yeah.
So
okay, and then my last question to wrap this convo up or this topic. Obviously, with KD, with Bron, they've had a lot of franchise movements. Do you think Steph's going to retire a Warrior? Because he always talks about, like, he also, if we're along the lines of flirting with ideas, he said he ideally wants to be for lifer like a Dirk and like a Tim, like a Kobe, but you can tell he has that great energy where he just wants to win. Do you see a scenario where he stays with them in his career, or you wouldn't be surprised if he's like, fuck it, go to another team?
if they had went out and got Lauri Markkanen,
You think Lauri
else,
pushes the needle?
I think that if they had gone out this past offseason and got Lauri Markkanen or Paul George,
Paul George. The thing is with Lauri is it's hard for me to comment because Utah is not on TV like that, nor am I utilizing my league pass.
Lauri
to
be
watch
going
him.
crazy. He be cooking, and he's also 26 or 27.
Is he going crazy, or is he the beneficiary of being a good player on a shitty team, like how Kevin Love was?
He's definitely
with
a good
Minnesota.
player on a shitty team, but Kevin Love still was a big piece of them winning championships.
What, the Cavs?
Yeah.
I mean,
they
he only
he
played
wasn't healthy.
He only played bad against the Warriors. I give you that.
Yeah, they literally didn't win. Like you needed him. So I think that, and he's to me wouldn't have to go down to the third option as Kevin Love did. I think he would be the second option.
I agree with that.
And so yeah, again, like I mean, for sure he wouldn't average 25 on the Warriors next to Steph, but he would still give you at least 20.
He's 7 feet.
He's a 7-footer. He can pass a little bit, rebound well. I was just saying that to say if they had gone out and gotten some of those names that were available this season, I would be able to definitively say I feel like Steph's staying there, because even if it didn't pan out with Lauri or whatever, one, I think it would, just because he's young. That's why I think he's a really good one. You can just have him and he could potentially get better, or at least, you're not worried about him dropping off.
Is he American or?
No, he's Finnish.
Oh, Finnish.
But I think it's a commitment that we're trying. We're at least doing something, versus all they ended up doing this offseason was letting Clay go and getting DeAnthony Melton and Kyle Anderson and
That's
like one other and Buddy Hield.
Work.
So to me, it just leaves I feel like the door is open right now, because they haven't shown, honestly, like this past offseason, they haven't shown a true commitment to making it better around him. And if you look at the way that they completely bungled the draft situation with all the draft capital they had, I just think that I think that door is open. Okay. I'll say that.
All right. Well, some guy who his rookie year thought that he was going to be the second coming of LeBron James, obviously he did not fulfill that at all. I'm talking about Ben Simmons, 3-time All-Star, Rookie of the Year, All-NBA, was once a steals champ leader, 2-time All-Defensive Team. Last 3 years, out of 246 games, only played 57. And this is his contract year. Is this make or break for him?
I don't think so, because I think he's going to get another contract. He was never, regardless of what he does this year, he's never going to get another max contract. Yeah.
That's basically what I want to ask. You think he'll get another max contract?
That's just never going to happen. It's not. Because especially at this point in his career, like it's a wrap for him. I think he's actually, when we talk about like LeBron coming off the bench, to me, he is that mold. He could do that. Of course, he doesn't have the shooting. We're completely getting rid of the shooting, but just like a playmaking wing who can play defense. I think that...
You think he'd be okay with that, too? Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice.
He has to be, exactly. Like, I think he can still be valuable for a team. Like, if one of the, like, if the Mavs or, like, OKC or something like that had added him, I think that would be,
Yeah.
So, I think that, he's still going to be around as long as he wants to be. That's another thing. Does he even really want to keep hooping? But it's a wrap for him ever getting back to the level that he was at, getting paid to that level, I think. So I wouldn't even say it's make or break. I just think it's going to be another year of Ben Simmons. And
also what determines that as well, too, is what the accolades I named. Like, if you're all-star and then all NBA selection, the amount of money you can make just skyrockets. So, I see that as well, too. What do you think, like 15 million a year? 20?
Nah, I don't know about 20. I mean,
because like, the salary cap keep going up too.
it do, but a lot of times also, when you get to the end of free agent, I don't think he's a day one or day two signing. So when you start getting to the end of free agency, them contracts start getting smaller just because there's not a lot of money left.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess maybe he could potentially show himself worthy of making like 15 mil, but I think that he's gonna be. I don't know. He might be fighting for like one of those, 1 year, 5 million.
I can see him being a 1 year ass nigga.
Yeah.
Nasty. Or 2 year with a player option.
Or a team option.
Team. Yeah, should do team option with that motherfucker. And then last topic, we can just go back and forth, yes, no. If no, why, and then who you think. So NBA GMs always come up with an annual survey before the season starts as well too. And these are some of the selections that they had. Best point guard, Luka. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hands down. I think so. Okay. Best defensive player, Wemby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree too. We talked about this before we started recording. Best game on the line, clutch shot taker. Steph was at 40, KD 23, Luka 10. You think Steph should be number one?
I don't. I get why Steph is number one, though.
You think it's recency bias from the Olympics?
I think there's bias from the Olympics. I think Steph has hit clutch shots, and he's the best shooter, so it makes sense. Who would you want to shoot the shot? The best shooter. Like, I feel like it just makes sense. But when you really look at like all the evidence and a lot of the times where he was needed to come up clutch and he didn't really, it's just hard for me. And I love Steph. I want him to be that guy. I want him to always be coming through. But it just feels like I get let down a lot. So I don't know. I don't think he could be number one. But also,
who would be number one for you?
I don't know if. I feel like we haven't had
someone yet that you can
like
say.
we in the past, like last year or the year before, it was like DeMar DeRozan was hitting like all the clutch shots. He was winning them a bunch of games, game winners. Then like the year before that, for like the 2 or 3 years, it was like Dame. And I feel like we don't really have that right now. Maybe someone will do that this season, but like going into it, I don't feel like there's someone who's been overwhelmingly clutch. Which also to be real is not necessarily always their fault, because it also means you have to be in a lot of close games. So we'll see. I definitely don't think. To me, Luka is 2 minutes left clutch, not last shot clutch. If that makes sense. Like I feel like if it's 2 minutes left and it's close, okay, he can win you the game. But I don't feel like it's as much like, all right, I'm gonna get you the game winning shot.
Okay. So basically, that's how you are internalizing it. You think it's the very last shot, or do you think it's?
I think it is the very last shot they're talking about. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm, like you said, there's a lot of different factors, but if I have to just choose someone, I like height and I like efficiency.
You going KD?
I'm going with KD.
That's a great
I'm going
choice.
with KD. That man has no flaw offensively with my own 2 eyes, even though he's lost a little bit of athleticism. I'm going, he can literally get any shot off. Like, maybe we'll see what against like Wemby or some shit, but that nigga can get any shot off. So I'm going to go with KD with that one. Best leader, Steph was 33%, LeBron 23, Brunson 23. You agree with Steph being the best leader?
Yeah, I think Steph is definitely a silent leader. Because they have Draymond on the team, so he's gonna be loud as hell. But it seems like, by all accounts, Steph is a really good leader, and I think clearly like LeBron is as well. I think part of LeBron being as low is because how old he is now. I just think it gets harder to connect to some of the 20-year-olds when you're 40.
Well, if you watch the Starting Five documentary, you can see he connects. But I'm gonna go with LeBron at number one. Steph, I feel like he's always had continuity around him for LeBron to be on 3 different teams, but he obviously had an extra stint with the Cavs, and to win a championship everywhere he's been, and have so much player movement around him and not as much stability. I think I'm gonna go with him, but I'm not mad at Steph either, so I'm cool with that. Most versatile, they had Giannis at 30.
I'm actually gonna go with LeBron over Giannis, only because to me Giannis is
limited
3 and down, where Bron is like all 5.
Yeah.
So
I will only put Giannis above Bron, kind of like what you said with best leader, because he's older, and I feel like Giannis is right now is a better defender.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm not mad at your answer. Best basketball IQ, Joker 53, LeBron 30. I will put Joker and Bron 50-50.
I get it. I'm cool with Jokic being
53% though.
higher up.
Damn,
Yeah.
53 is crazy though.
Did you see the passes that nigga was throwing?
Yeah, you see passes Bron been throwing for his career.
For his career though, versus like I think it's like in this moment that we're in right now.
That's true.
Yeah, I think also Bron's teammates aren't as good.
I was about to say that too. Also, like Joker had a better team.
Yeah.
But I mean, shit. But I'm not mad at them saying has the best basketball IQ, but 53 is crazy. Most athletic, they had Ant-Man at 45. You cool with him being most athletic in the league?
Sure. Yeah.
Who would you say more athletic, him or Ja? Ant?
Ja,
pretty
Ja.
fucking athletic.
I think the shorter person always, to me, is going to get the more athletic.
Yeah.
It's crazier seeing you do it. So to me, that's Ja. I think, again, Ja's left out of all this because he was out last year and he has still all the, I feel like, stench of the gun and the IG and all that shit. So they're being kind of apprehensive. But Ja is that dude, bro. It's crazy to me, bro. Is just averaging like 27 a game, and they act like he had a knee injury or something. Like he was fucking around with a gun and he hurt his shoulder. Like he'll be okay.
Yo, that's hilarious. Team levels of success hardest to predict. Lakers at 17.
I think. Yeah, I can see that because they should have been better than they were last year, but they just weren't.
Yeah,
and that's just kind of like their story.
Yeah, and they got a new coach. Bron's getting older. Let me ask you this: if the Lakers somehow got past the Nuggets, you think they would have still lost in the round after that to Minnesota?
Yeah,
think so. Yeah.
Minnesota was going crazy.
You said what?
Minnesota was going crazy. I think if
crazy.
they play the level they were playing in the other 2 rounds, they make it out of the West as well. But I don't think they played that well when they made it to the conference finals.
And they lost.
Mostly Ant. Just didn't really,
They really lost KCP and Jeff Green from the championship team and what's that other guy's name? With the headband. Bruce Brown.
You talking about the Nuggets? Yeah.
They fucked up. We'll see what Russ talking about this year. That could be another 6 man of the year.
Russ
candidate as well too. I didn't think about that.
Russ could be a 6 man of the year. He was gonna be it honestly before he got traded to the Clippers, but then the Clippers started starting him.
Yeah, no, you're right. And last one, best head coach. They had Spo at a overly favored 69%. I think he's the best at working with. I think he's the best at maximizing what he has.
I think it's either him or Tim or Nick Nurse or Pop. I think Pop is getting left out of these conversations because his roster sucks.
It's mid, yeah.
But he's not stopped being a great coach.
Mm-hmm. Who was the other person you said? Oh, you said him or Nick. You said Nick Nurse?
Nick
Nurse.
Yeah,
I like him
really
from Toronto.
He
did a good job with 76, especially when Embiid went down as well too. They're a little healthier. Who knows what happens? So I'm not mad at that. Real rapper Cap to end things. Real rapper Cap, Ben Simmons will make at least 23s this season.
Chat. What are we doing? What are we doing here? It's just real quick. It is insane that it comes around like clockwork. The Ben Simmons shooting threes in the offseason fucking clips. But yeah, no, I don't think he's gonna make 10, let alone 20.
Yeah. Oh my God. Real rapper Cap Kawhi Leonard will play at least 60 games.
Cap. That nigga's knees are done.
Yeah, I think and this is my favorite player. Knees is shot, boy. So I'm gonna go with like.
His knees are more done than my hair.
We'll go with 58, bruh. It's crazy. Real rapper Cap Lonzo will play at least 50 games.
To me, I think that one's less up to him. I think they're going to try and be cautious because bro was out for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're going to be resting him a lot. So
Yeah.
I guess I would say Cat.
Okay. I can't remember the name of the surgery that he had for his knee. And like you said, this has never been done before. So I agree with you. I think that they're going to be superly overly cautious. Definitely no back-to-backs.
They don't have anything to play for this year anyway. The team is not.
Well,
That team is not a championship contender.
They're not a championship contender, but they can be play-in material because the East is top-heavy.
Yeah, but I think with him playing, I think if your ceiling is a playing contender, then yeah, let's be careful with a guy who we have on this contract.
That'd be nice. Comeback Player of the Year award for him. And then last one, Real Rapper Cap, the marquee trade of them all. They were all-stars last year, but will Cat and Julius Randle, both in different conferences, be all-stars this upcoming season?
I don't know, bro. I would prefer that neither of them were all-stars.
I think Cat has a Cap. I'm going to say Cat makes the all-star in the East. Julius Randle, nah.
I think Cat only will make it because he's in New York.
But he's been making that shit in Minnesota though all these years.
I know, and that's what makes me. I feel like if they're,
I see what you're saying.
If they're good, and now he's in the biggest media market, I think fan votes alone could get him into the All-Star game. You know, whereas Julius Randle is gonna have to be playing really good, and it'll be his first his first year in a new team. We'll see, but I don't know. I'd feel way more confident in Cat making it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
All right. Well, those are interesting topics. I was so happy to recite the Ben Simmons one just to get your reaction. But any closing remarks for the start of season 4?
Looking forward to, another great season. Chopping it up with you guys and looking forward. I think this is going to be a really interesting upcoming NBA season. It's a lot of dope storylines, a lot of teams again that feel like they have a chance to actually make some noise or make it to the finals, and we have a juggernaut looking to repeat. So yeah, I'm excited.
Nothing else I can add. Appreciate Payne behind the scenes. Terrence, can't wait till you get back because I really wanted to spend some time talking about your Lakers and JJ and Bronny, but we'll save that for next episode.
Role player ass.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the start of season 4, episode 147 of The Seezus Show. Make sure to subscribe on all forms of social media at The Seezus Show, at Sir Seezus, at Carl Conyers, at Terrence Willie _. We out.